Alright, back again, Luke here. And as you can see in front of you, today we have another arcade PCB that we're going to try and do some troubleshooting on. This is a Capcom's Makai Mura, also known as Capcom's Ghosts N Goblins, and this is the actual American version, or the English version of the game. But it has a bit of a quirky thing going on with it, and I figured I'd share that with you guys here. Let's kill the lights, hit the power switch on. And as you can see, there's something in the background. You can kind of see it slightly faded, but you can see the introduction here. It's not showing all of the correct sprites. Sometimes it's playing here, but as it plays, you'll notice the background is kind of missing, and it's kind of coming into play there, slowly but surely. It shouldn't be doing that at all. It should already be there. And it's disappearing back and forth. So this is something where I've already taken a look at the board itself, looked for any kind of scratches or anything, but this is another part here that's kind of, you can see it's just missing. This part is fixed, it's not moving. There it is, and it's a little bit moving, I suppose, but there's definitely some scrolling effects or scrolling problems going on with this board. Yeah, once again, you can see the characters moving, but you can't see anything over here. It's just completely frozen. So this is one of those boards that we're going to have to take a look at, and since it's a dual layered board, it's going to be a little bit more tricky to try and figure out. But the first thing I'm going to do is take out all of these EEPROMs, and I'm going to check them and make sure that they're okay, the ones on the other side of the board as well, and we'll go from there and see what we got. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, so I've taken out all of these chips here, and you can see the board's kind of flipped over right now. And I've tried to check them, and all of them seem to be fine. They're functioning fine. There's no problems at all. I've reseated them, so let's see if it changes anything. Let's turn this off here. Nope, it looks like it's doing the same thing. Looks like it said something check or something, I'm not sure. Okay, well now it's not doing much of anything. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. Let's see, is there something, maybe does it have to be upright again? It'd be really strange if it just stopped working because I flipped it over. I think I've got everything hooked up correctly. Okay, wow, look at that. It's doing something. It's kind of doing a ROM-RAM check now. That wasn't doing that before. I don't know if that fixed it or not. It's weird that it didn't work while it was upside down. Oh no, it's still doing it. You guys can see the scrolling problems right there. Yeah, it still has some issues. Alright, well I know it's sensitive to at least flipping the board over. It's interesting. I have checked the ribbon cables, and the ribbon cables are fine. I've checked them in another board, and I've also tried switching them around, as you guys may have remembered from some of the other repairs that I've done in the past, like the legendary Wings arcade PCB. But yeah, it's interesting that it's not working like that. Maybe it could be just pressure. Let's see, does this do anything different? Okay. Yeah, that's so weird. Oh, okay. It's still doing it. It's doing this again, so I don't know, maybe, you know, removing those ROMs and putting them back in? No, it's just, it's doing the RAM-ROM check over and over again. Okay. There's something funky going on with this board, that's for sure. I guess I'm going to have to get out my test light and check out what's going on with this. And it's definitely not stable, that's for sure. Okay. Let's see what we can figure out here. More fun to be had. Okay, so I started going around some of these Fujitsu TTLs because those are the ones that are the most notorious for failing on these boards. And as I was going around here, I realized that this section with all of these RAM chips in here, as well as these 74LS157s, the 74LS273s, these are all related to sprite graphics on the board itself. So the main characters and yeah, the enemy sprites, all of these are just kind of intertwined. And as I started going over the board, I found that by touching a few pins, or bridging a few pins on this one here, the 74LS273, I was able to see the background kind of flash back in for just a split second. So it seems like this is maybe our culprit here. And like I said, a couple of times when I was checking it, I was able to see that this flashed in and out. But right now, it seems like all of the outputs on it on the other side are just, yeah, dead. So it's not doing anything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this one. I do have a replacement here, which is another 74LS273. I might replace the one next to it because I think that these are probably interconnected or they're tied into the same kind of circuit. So once again, with the Capcom boards, as you can see here, they've done their tricky way of making it so you can't see where all of the traces go. This is their camouflage for arcade PCBs, and it is pretty tricky. So good luck trying to figure out what is routed to where, unless you decide to go pin hunting for each one of these vias and you know, each one of the pinouts. It's ridiculous. But yeah, once again, so this area here, especially with these Fujitsu TTLs, are responsible for the character sprites, whereas these ones, so far it looks like, are responsible for that background. So I'm going to try and switch those out and see if we get anything better. But I'll get on that and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Okay, so since I really don't want to damage the bottom of these vias by desoldering this, what I'm going to do is just going to snip the legs off here, and then I'll desolder them from the bottom, which will make it a lot easier to take out. So we're just going to clip the legs. There's a lot of them on here, so I might have to stand up for this one. I'm trying to get the best angle here, but just going to go through with our side cutters and snip these guys right off. This makes it easy. Just kind of clip and pull back a little bit. This will make it easier for the legs to separate from the IC itself. And like I said, I'm going to do the neighboring one as well, because these Fujitsu chips, man, they are just waiting to go. There's a couple of them up top as well, which I might change in the future, but these two seem to be the ones that are at fault. Well, at least the one on the right seems to be the one at fault. So, and as you can see here, I'm just clipping away. It's going to be a little bit more tricky. I'm using my left hand for this one, so probably not going to be the best. But if you guys do decide to remove something like this, these parts are extremely cheap, right? So it's much easier just to clip them out and replace with a new one with a socket, of course, than it is to try and desolder it, because you could mess so many things up by trying to desolder these ones. I mean, if it was a custom IC or something like that, I could understand, but since these aren't, so they're just cheap Fujitsu parts. And you can see, actually underneath it is a bit burned. You can see there. So it doesn't always mean that the chip is bad, but it can give you some indication that it's getting hot, which could also mean that there might be some problems with it. But that's one. And then we'll get our second one here. These are both 74LS273s. And hopefully by removing these ones and putting in a couple of new ones, we'll get this monster back up and rolling. Guess we'll have to wait and see. But at the beginning it did look like there was some, yeah, this one also has a little bit of some toasty stuff on the back. But I'm going to go ahead and remove these. I'm going to desolder those, and we'll put in some sockets, and then we'll go from there and test it out and see how it works. So see you guys in a little bit. Okay, so I still have some flux residue to clean up here, but these are all the stubs that have been removed, and we'll try and clean that up a little bit, and then we'll remove the leftover excess flux and solder from the other side. That way it should clean up the board a bit more, so we'll do that next. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got all of the holes kind of cleaned out, and the sockets are ready to go in. So I'll go ahead and grab those sockets, put them in, and then we'll give it a test and see how it goes. So we've got our two brand new 74LS 273s installed, and they're both socketed, and I haven't had a chance to try this out yet, but let's go ahead and flip on the old power and see what we got. Kind of looks like it's doing the same thing it was doing before. And there's another ROM check. I don't know if it's changed anything or not. Well, it's kind of changed something. There's more glitching going on. Oh, there we go. We've got the background, but we've got some kind of glitches going on here. I don't know what that's all about, but we've got our background. It's just kind of flashing a bit. There still seems like maybe there's something else wrong here. I don't know. Yeah, you guys can see there's lines in there. At least the ground is moving now. So we're kind of on our way here. There are a couple other, there's two more up here, which I suppose I could go over and check and see if that'll fix it, but there is definitely some glitching going on, you can see there. So the background is fixed, but it's not fixed, because we still have these lines in there. I don't know if that's caused by, what could that be caused by? Maybe a couple more of those bad ICs. But yeah, it's getting there, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if we can figure out what's causing these lines to keep appearing in the background. But it's definitely probably gonna be related to the back of this board, because that's where, yeah, you can see it still glitching out pretty bad. All right, well, I'll get on this, and I guess we'll try this a little bit more. But it is better. This is fantastic. It's definitely looking much better. Okay, so taking a look at the schematics here for the board, I found 12A. This is the one that I replaced down here. And if you remember before, with the old one in place, it was showing the missing graphics in the background, but it didn't have those funky lines going through it. And after replacing it, it shows the backgrounds, but now it has new lines. So taking a look at that, I found that that is connected over here to this 283, which is 12B. And if we look at 12B, here we've got another Fujitsu TTL, and actually everything around here, going up to even 11. Where's 11? I can't remember if it's up or down. But 11A was showing the same thing. Yep, okay, so 11A here is connected to 10B and 11B, which if we go over here, 10B is a Fujitsu 283, 11B is also a Fujitsu 283. So this area over here is just littered with these Fujitsu TTLs. Those are both run back here to these 157s. So as you can see here, 9A, 9B, 9C, and there is 9A, 9B, and 9C. So, I mean, as a rule of thumb, people generally, when they see a Fujitsu TTL, they try to replace them because they're notorious for like just suddenly failing, and eventually that's what might happen to these ones if I leave them in. But I'd like to try and pinpoint the problem first, and I'm guessing that I'll probably try taking a look at the one connected to 12B first and see what we get as far as the outputs on the pins, see if anything's stuck or if anything's floating. Then it'll give us a better idea as to which one we can try and take a look at. So that's where we're at for right now. I'm going to get back on this and see what we can find out. Okay, so there's a possibility I might have come across the problem here, and that was one of these RAM chips. It's this one actually right here. And it was getting quite hot. And I noticed that if I touched the bottom part of it underneath the board, I could see the graphics kind of pop back in again. So as you can see here, it does have some stain, like a soot stain from the bottom of the chip here, getting pretty warm. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this. I'm going to socket that, and we'll go ahead and give it a try and see if that fixes everything. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. So once again, I went over the bottom board there and I tried to change out a couple more ICs that I thought were the ones responsible for the graphic glitches. And then I came up to the top board here. Seems like a bit of a nightmare, but I've stumbled upon this 74LS367. And it is actually not working. It has a bunch of dead outputs on it. So we're going to clip this out, and hopefully that will be our problem. Whew. We'll go ahead and we'll wait and see what happens here, but it's looking more promising. So I'll get on that and see you in a few minutes. Okay, so we have our new 74LS367 in place. I haven't had a chance to try this out yet, so without further ado here, let's kill the old lights here, pop this on and check some of that. Hope for the best. That part there is supposed to be like that, that's normal. I just hope we get our graphics back that aren't glitching out. Please, come on. Oh, they're still glitching. Jeez. Okay, so after spending quite some time here on the bottom board trying to troubleshoot this, I decided to come over to the top board because I ran out of options. The other points that I was looking at seemed to be mostly responsible for the sprites, not the background graphics. So I came up here to the top side of this, and lo and behold, over here near this second back edge connector, there were 4 74LS161s, and they were all Fujitsu chips. I tried to replace the 74LS367 because it seemed like when I touched the bottom of it, it actually started changing the background graphics and they started to stabilize. But when I changed that out, there was still no difference in the beginning and the end. So I thought, okay, great, let's go check around here. And there were 4 of these, and lo and behold, that's what the problem was. So yeah, lots of stuff here. You can still see there are quite a few Fujitsu ICs on this board. And, you know, removing them one by one, just like warts. It's a bit of a pain, but just to show you guys what this thing is doing, let's flip the old lights off here and pop this on and check some of that. Hopefully this won't flare out too much. There is the original graphics here, which weren't changed from before we started the work and then after. And now you can see there's no more of that flashing in the background, no more of those lines. They're completely gone. This game is back up and running. Only took about, I don't know, 5 hours to try and troubleshoot this one. But as you can see here, this is all solid as well. No problems there. Fantastic. It's a nice close here to an awesome game. Well, a very difficult game. But yeah, hopefully this will help out some of you guys out there who are having some trouble with a Ghosts N Goblins board. With background graphic issues or missing backgrounds. You could tell from the beginning of the video here, those 74LS273s, I believe, on the back were the ones that were responsible for the missing background graphics there scrolling in the background. And then the 74LS161s were responsible for the jail bars that were flashing constantly on this top board. So yeah, another board here saved from the grave, and we'll eventually get around to doing some gameplay on this, but that's about all for me for right now. Like always, I'll put up another video here soon, so thanks for watching. Watching some repetitive Ghosts and Goblins here. Let's try and pop in a coin. This is gonna be fun with one hand. Run, guy. Whoa. There we go. Well, that wasn't... Oh, you suck! Did you guys see what that did? Nevertheless, that was cheap. But yeah, once again, we've got another board here saved from the grave. And I don't know if I should have saved it after that cheap move there. That was pretty bad. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again here soon.